Also, this is such a little tiny book. It's such a little tiny book. Okay, now let's get started. The Tale of Peter Rabbit. The publisher's note. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. Cute little rabbits. Now, my dears, said old Miss Rabbit one morning, you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Oh no. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out. Then old Miss Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. Cute. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden. Oh no. We have one little naughty bunny. And squeezed under the gate. Kind of like a cat would. First he ate some lettuces and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Oh no. Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Oh gosh. Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He had lost one of his shoes among the cabbages. His little shoe. And the other shoe amongst the potatoes. There's the other one. his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Oh my gosh, he almost got stepped on. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright. He had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. He's lost and he's wet. It's not good. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity, not very fast, and looking all round. He found a door in a wall, and it was locked, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry. Oh no, poor thing is lost. Also, poor Mr. McGregor, he's getting his food stolen by all these animals. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently, he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. What a cute little cat. I love cats. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Screech, scratch, scratch, screech. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes. But presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Oh my god, there's the gate right there. I don't know if you can see, but it's right there. And there's Mr. McGregor. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go, along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Oh, he made it home. Yay. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. That's funny. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice, soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. Oh gosh, such a naughty bunny. I am sisters listened, but Peter did not. That was The Tale of Peter Rabbit. I've actually never read this book or the other one. I just bought this book because a lovely commenter commented that they would love to see me read this book, and I will do any of the requests that anyone requests, so I hope you enjoyed this video. The next video will be me reading Jemima Puddle-Duck book, so stay tuned for that. Hey guys, so today we're going to be reading The Tale of Jemima Puddle-Duck by Beatrix Potter, the original and authorized edition. This was also recommended by the same lovely commenter, so I hope you enjoy this video. Now, let's read this book. It has the same, it's by the same author, so it will have the same little, I don't know what to call this, but the little thing. So it's the same as the Tale of Peter Rabbit book. The Tale of Jemima Puddle-Duck. This is cute. Oh, this is cute. It has little books right here. It says Flopsy Bunnies. What is this one? Oh, I think that says Benjamin Bunny. Tiki Winkle. And then this one is Jemima Puddle-Duck, obviously. That's very cute. We have a little fox right there. A farmyard tale for Ralph and Betsy. Okay. What a funny sight it is to see a brood of ducklings with a hen. Listen to the story of Jemima Puddle-Duck, who was annoyed because the farmer's wife would not let her hatch her own eggs. Her sister-in-law, Miss Rebecca Puddle-Duck, was perfectly willing to leave the hatching to someone else. I have not the patience to sit on a nest for 28 days, and no more have you, Jemima. You would let them go cold. You know you would. I wish to hatch my own eggs. I will hatch them all by myself, quacked Jemima Puddle-Duck. She tried to hatch her eggs, but they were always found and carried off. Jemima Puddle-Duck became quite desperate. She determined to make a nest right away from the farm. She set off on a fine spring afternoon along the cart road that leads over the hill. She was wearing a shawl and a poke bonnet. Adorable. When she reached the top of the hill, she saw a wood in the distance. She thought that it looked a safe, quiet spot. Jemima Puddle-Duck was not much in the habit of flying. She ran downhill a few yards, flapping her shawl, and then she jumped off into the air. Oh, is she flying? Oh, she is flying. She flew beautifully when she had got a good start. She skimmed along over the treetops until she saw an open place in the middle of the wood where the trees and brushwood had been cleared. She does fly quite beautifully. Jemima alighted rather heavily and began to waddle about in a search of a convenient dry nesting place. She rather fancied a tree stump amongst some tall foxgloves, but seated upon the stump, she was startled to find an elegantly dressed gentleman reading a newspaper. He had black brick ears and sandy-colored whiskers. "Quack," said Jemima Puddle-Duck, with her head and her bonnet on one side. "Quack." Look, there he is. The Mr. Fox, I'm guessing. The gentleman raised his eyes above his newspaper and looked curiously at Jemima. "Madam, have you lost your way?" he said. He had a long bushy tail, which he was sitting upon, as the stump was somewhat damp. Jemima thought him mighty civil and handsome. She explained that she had not lost her way, but that she was trying to find a convenient dry nesting place. "Ah, is that so, indeed?" said the gentleman with the sandy whiskers, looking curiously at Jemima. He folded up the newspaper and put it in his coat-tail pocket. Jemima complained of the superfluous hen. "Indeed, how interesting. I wish I could meet with that fowl. I would teach it to mind its own business." "But as to a nest, there is no difficulty. I have a sack full of feathers in my woodshed." "No, my dear madam, you will be in nobody's way. You may sit there as long as you like," said the bushy long-tailed gentleman. He led the way to a very retired, dismal-looking house amongst the foxgloves. It was built of faggots and turf, and there were two broken pails, one on top of another, by way of a chimney. Wow. This is definitely just like a little shed or of some sort. "This is my summer residence. You would not find my winter house so convenient," said the hospitable gentleman. There was a tumble-down shed at the back of the house, made of old soap boxes. The gentleman opened the door and showed Jemima in. Oh gosh, he looks very suspicious. Look at him laughing, or whatever. What is he doing? The shed was almost quite full of feathers. It was almost suffocating, but it was comfortable and very soft. Jemima Puddle-Duck was rather surprised to find such a vast quantity of feathers, but it was very comfortable, and she made a nest without any trouble at all. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of feathers. I'm guessing this fox eats ducks like Jemima. It's not good. When she came out, the sandy-whiskered gentleman was sitting on a log reading the newspaper. At least he had its She needs to stay away from those eggs. Madam, I beg you not to trouble yourself with the bag. I will provide oats, but before you commence your tedious sitting, I intend to give you a treat. Let us have a dinner party all to ourselves. May I ask you to bring some herbs from the farm garden to make a savory omelet? Sage and thyme, and mint, and 2 onions, and some parsley. I will provide lard for the stuff, lard for the omelet, said the hospitable gentleman with sandy whiskers. Oh no, Jemima. Jemima Puddle-Duck was a simpleton. Not even the mention of sage and onions made her suspicious. She went round the farm garden nibbling off snippets of all the different sorts of herbs that are used for stuffing roast duck. Oh no. And she waddled into the kitchen and got 2 onions out of a basket. The collie dog met her coming out. What are you doing with those onions? Where do you go every afternoon by yourself, Jemima Puddle-Duck? Jemima was rather in awe of the collie. She told him the whole story. The collie listened with his wise head on one side. He grinned when she described the polite gentleman with sandy whiskers. This collie knows is also a very cute dog. Look at him, so cute. He asked several questions about the woods and about the exact position of the house and shed. Then he went out and trotted down the village. He went to look for 2 foxhound puppies who were out at a walk with the butcher. We're getting a little crew to help Jemima. Jemima Puddle-Duck went up the cart road for the last time. On a sunny afternoon, she was rather burdened with bunches of herbs and 2 onions in a bag. She flew over the woods and alighted opposite the house of the bushy, long-tailed gentleman. He was sitting on a log. He sniffed the air and kept glancing uneasily round the wood. When Jemima alighted, he quite jumped. Come into the house as soon as you looked at your eggs. Give me the herbs for the omelet. Be sharp. He was rather abrupt. Jemima Puddle-Duck had never heard him speak like that. She felt surprised and uncomfortable. Oh no. While he was inside, she heard pattering feet round the back of the shed. Someone with a black nose sniffed at the bottom of the door and then locked it. Jemima became much alarmed. I think it's her friends. They're coming to save her. A moment afterwards, there were most awful noises, barking, baying, growls and howls, squealing and groans, and nothing more was ever She has 1, 2, 3, 4 ducks at least. Well, that was the story of the tale of Jemima Puddle-Duck. Let's quickly read this part at the back. Ah, is that so? Indeed, said the gentleman with sandy whiskers, looking curiously at Jemima. Naughty fox, naughty. Well, if this book has taught us anything, it's that don't trust strangers, guys. Well, thank you. If you made it this far into